So, hi everyone. I think you can all hear me and you can see my screen. Uh, I won't answer to your questions during the session because I only have one screen and I cannot see your question and do this kind of things and it's not really pleasant to see. But you can ask your question at the end and I will be delighted to answer to you. So I will put it in big screen and welcome to all of you to this introduction to Docker. It's a tool, I think we can say it's a revolution in big data and in other stuff in computer science. And today with data scientists, we'll see the basic commands on how to use it and also why we use this tool. We'll start by study case. I will define the context of the deployment. Then I will show you why Docker can help me during my deployment and other advantages to use it. And at the end, it will be small demonstration on some application Docker. So let's start by, like I said, an application about what I wanted to show you. And in data scientist, we are website where people can learn about things in data science, data analytics, and also data engineer. And the thing we ask to the student is to do what we call a Streamlit application. Streamlit application is just a Python file we run uh, on our console, and it shows a nice application. Maybe I can show you some example before I show you my own Streamlit. But here you can see some example in this website. I will share the website at the end in the description of this video. But here there is a nice application, one of my students, and they created an application who will create a path of events to visit in one city. And it's just a Python file. There is no other mm, programming languages, just Python. And at the end, you can have a nice, you will see a nice map. Let me show you. We'll remove some thing to see, and I will write in Paris also because there are more things to see in Paris. But you will see at the end a nice map where there are some events to see, and this is an example of what we ask to the student to do during that training. And here what we will imagine is that some student send me the submit application. Here I have their code here, and what I will do, I will run it like it will be working because they said to me, yeah, my submit application is very nice. You can see that. I will share you the file, and let's see what looks like their application. And if I do this, I have a big mistake, or not. It's not really a mistake, but I have an error on my screen, and it doesn't work. Even if and they told me that it works on their computer, on my computer it doesn't work, and it's really annoying because I really wanted to see the application. And the problem here is I will go back to my slides. Um, Application was created on a specific environment, but the environment is not the same that I have on my computer. Here we can imagine here it was my computer, but usually people will work on their own environment. Then they will put their application on this server, but the server and the computer doesn't share the same environment, and as a consequence, you will have some failures. So that's why here we have a red box to to represent that our server is down. But you have seen in my console I have not a nice thing, and I have an error, and the thing we want to solve here is to run the application with the same environment that we have here. And there are many things, and there are many ways to do this in computer science. The most the classic one in Python is to use virtual environment. Let me show you how we can do this. So here I have different files, and I have files where I have all the packages I need to run my application. If you want, I can show you here. And the thing I want to do is to create a virtual environment, which is very specific on Python, and it will allow us to have a different Python environment where it won't have the same package I have on my computer. For instance, here I have all these Python packages, but I want to have a different Python packages. So I will use what I said, the virtual environment. We can create one with this, and I will do this. So here, if I do this, I will be on a different Python environment. You can see here it's written test instead of something. At first there was nothing, but here there was test. And if I do pip freeze, this command will return nothing. It's a blank virtual environment. So I will install here all my Python packages with the file rec.txt. And if I do this, I won't have any problem, I hope. I didn't try previously, but I think they sent me the right, the right environment file, I would say, and I hope it will work. So let's wait. So we must wait. It's not really quick. Okay, it's finished. If I use the pip freeze command, I can see I have more packages now, and I will, I hope, run now my application. So it's working, but I don't think I can really see it. Maybe let's try. I have some doubts. Okay, it's working. I have some doubt, but okay, no middle name is sklearn. So let's install. I think it's scikit-learn instead of sklearn. And let's run it now. Okay, now we can see my application is working. I have different pages of my student application, and I have some plot to see. You can see it's interactive. I can click on different button, and it's moving. And I have some machine learning part, and now it's working. But how why it's working is because before I run the application, I created the right environment to run this application, and now it's working. And I don't know your opinion on it. It wasn't really complicated, but I need to create a different virtual environment. Then I need to specify all the packages I need to this application. Then I need to install it, and I need to run it. It's not really, it's not annoying, but it's not quick, it's not fast. And nowadays we really need to be fast to to work quick because time is money. like we said, and we cannot waste some time about this kind of thing. So that's why there is different way to solve this issue. Here we have seen this one. There are other ones. The first one I've written is the cloud services. With the cloud services, we can rent some virtual machine. Um, it's not virtual machine. We can say we can rent some machine, and on this machine we can run our application. But this machine is different that um, our own machine, and I think we can download the right packaging for the application without any difficulties. Because here, the problem with my environment is maybe I can uninstall some library and install the right one, but I cannot do for every application I need to run. Like I said, it would be annoying. So that's why we want to have m- many environments to run our application. So uh, if we are different machine for different application, we won't encounter our issue. But the cloud services are it's not free. You need to pay to the to use this machine. So that's why I won't use it. This option. It's not really an option, but it can solve our problem. The second solution is the use of local virtual machine. Uh, in our own computer, we'll split the storage disk, the not the hardware, but the characteristic of our machine will split, and um, we have different operating system on our computer, and it will be like before. If I have a different operating system for my application, it won't. Uh, I won't have any problem with my own computer because for the application, I will select the right operating system. I will download the right packages, and at the end, it will work. But here, you cannot split always your storage disk. You're not limitless. Here, you're not limitless, but here, uh, you will exceed at a moment the limits. So that's why I won't really speak about this solution also. So the last solution I didn't speak yet. It's about the containers with Docker, and we'll see how it can solve our issue and how it can help us for the deployment. So usually we compare Docker with the virtual machine, the this one, the local virtual machine. So here, uh, you need to remember this picture because this is a classic one. We you can see this picture in different style, but it will always the same. On the left, you will have the container where you have a component which is Docker, and on the right, you have a component which is called the hypervisor. So let me explain the difference between these two architecture, I would say. So here on the right, we use a different virtual machine. So I said it's the storage disk we split on different parts, and different parts have as an operating system. So the hypervisor will select the right operating system to launch, to boot your system, and to run your application. But this part of the guest operating system is really heavy. You don't really need to have different operating system to run one application. You can see it's not really a good solution. It's really how can I say it? Uh, um, it's not quick, but it's too complicated to have only one operating system to run one application. What we want to see is only the binary files and the libraries to run the application. The get OS is not really mandatory to run the application. So in this architecture, we lose some place to store our operating system. So that's why instead of this architecture, we will use this one. On this one, instead of many operating system, we have only one, the main one. For instance, here I am on Windows, but some of you are on the Mac or Apple, and others are on Linux. But you will have one operating system, then you will have Docker to run only what we call the container. The container, you see, has only the binary files and the library. With this container, you have only the environment to run the application, and you don't need to have another operating system to run the application, because here you will use the main OS, so the host operating system. You see the difference here, since you don't really need to have a different operating system, you use the main one. It's more it's more quicker. It's quicker to use Docker to run application with it instead of using a different operating system. So here I have some little sum up of why we use Docker. It's because it's lighter, because we don't have an operating system to run it. Then you will see it's faster to download the different containers to run our application. And moreover, Docker is open source, and you have many what we call images. And images is just the the core file of the, not the file, but the core component of your container. We'll see some example of the difference between containers and images. But here, for instance, what I can show you, I will show you a database which is called MongoDB, and usually it's really painful to install on our own computer different um, computer science tool. But with Docker, with only one line, you can download different version of your database, and you can run it very quickly. So for instance, here there are some explanation about how to use it, but the thing I wanted to show you is about the different version. You have the latest one. Um, Usually this is the one I use, but it's just for uh, education I would say. But sometimes you really need some specific version of it, so that's why you need to search on this library, I would say, the version you are looking for. Because, for instance, imagine I worked with a company. They use a specific version of MongoDB, this one. So I cannot write the application on the latest version because this is not the same. So what I will do, I will take this version because uh, it has the same version that the server of the company. And as a consequence, I won't retrieve the same error that before, because I will share the same environment. You see the beauty, I would say, of Docker. It allows many things, and here I will show you a quick example of it. So here, let's download this version of MongoDB. You see, uh, I will write some comment to how to get the different images, but here I only need to copy and paste uh, what we have on the website, and it's already finished. You see here, now I have a container to use MongoDB. I will show you an example. There are some command lines like Docker pull. I will run it also. Maybe it can scare you, but In fact, it's not really a big deal. You will see just something you need to use every day, and you won't have any problem with it. So here I will run these images of MongoDB. I will give it a name. So here, okay, I have already something with the name my Mongo. So here I have turn on uh, mm, MongoDB instance, I will say, and I will um, enter inside of it. So here I run docker exec hyphen it my Mongo, then I write this. So here you can I cannot really increase the size of the console, but I'm not on the same environment. I would say here you see I was on a Ubuntu, some virtual machine, but here I am really on the container, on the Docker container, and now what I can do, contrary to before, maybe I can show you. Here there are some command lines specific to MongoDB. You see here I have Mongo Mongo import, Mongo SR, and Mongo export to use the MongoDB database. But here I will leave the Docker container, and if I run Mongo, I don't have any command to run this database. This is really the difference. Here in 5 seconds, I have done it, and I can run it, and I can use it. Maybe I can show you some example to to use MongoDB, even if it's not really the main the main subject of today. But here, let's come back to the Docker container, and what I do, I will use the Mongo SR command, and here I'm on the MongoDB shell, and I can create some collection, and now I can create. I can put some data on it very easily. Uh, so here I don't have any something particular to say. Maybe I can write webinar ran by Docker. So here I insert some data. I can write another things, inference and learning. And the last one, maybe MongoDB one at a time. And if I now I put some data on this database, I want to retrieve the element with the value Docker on the key webinar. I will use a specific command to MongoDB, dp.sample.find, and if I do this, I think, and now if I run it, you see I can retrieve the document, not the document, but the element with the value Docker. But all the thing is possible is because I use Docker. I don't have, like you have seen before, a MongoDB environment. I can use it due, not due, but thanks to Docker. And there are many things you can do with Docker. You can explore um, some computer science tool you want to use it. For instance, there is a CI/CD tool uh, whose name is Jenkins. uh, in order to use it, you can uh, so you can use Docker, but you can install it on the classic way with some different lines you need to create to put on the right folder and etc. etc. It's so long, and instead with Docker you can have an application in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but it's not really long. It depends on the tools. Sometimes it can be really quick, like with MongoDB in less than 5 seconds. I didn't count the seconds, but you have seen it was really quick to have the application to use it. So here, what I wanted to get in order to get the maybe I didn't clarify the difference between container and image. So the image one is the core representation, I would say, of your application. Here, if I come back to my example, the the image Mongo colon 6.0 represent uh, the core component of my environment. But if I want to run an instance like this, here I have an instance of my Docker image, and the things I run now is what we call a container. You see, a container is just an instance of the image, of the Docker image. This is only the difference between the two words. And I will say in the data engineering training uh, of data centers, we don't say to the student to install the different packages to run the application. We Most of the time we use Docker because we only want that the student have an environment to use the application. And without Docker, we struggle on the installation. But with the help of Docker, it was not finger in the nose, but it was really easy. And this is the thing we're looking for when we deal with data science, data engineer, or etc. etc. So here I have so the main comments are this one, the Docker pull, and the name of the image. So here for the MongoDB, I select uh, MongoDB, Mongo colon and the version of it. But most of the time, it's really explained. It's really explained. It's really well documented on the documentation. So that's why um, check on internet. You'll find the information about how to use the application. Uh, and then after you download the application, you can run it with the run command. That's it. The second thing we can do with the container, we can stop the container and we can turn on later. For instance, here I will leave this MongoDB instance. So here, if I run docker ps, which is just a command to see uh, all the living container, I would say. Here, I will stop it. So here, if I run this command, see, I didn't see any Docker container. And what you can imagine is I cannot run again this command to get the MongoDB environment. Here it doesn't work because it says it's not running. But just an example, you can stop it. You can start later. And here I will start now. Sorry, there is not batch at the end. There's only the name of the container. And if I do this, now I can go back again on in the container, and maybe I can check if I have still my database about uh, the I have some doubt about the command db show, or maybe I can only let me. Okay, so we always have the previous element. You can see with this. We have the Docker, the reinforcement learning, and the MongoDB one. But you have seen, I have stopped the container and I can start again, and I still have my environment to use Docker. So I finished my introduction about Docker. It's a very usual, but we cannot really say everything about it during the time of this session. I don't want to do a session about 2 hours or 1 hour. I don't know how many are you here during this session, but the goal of this session is only to make an introduction about it and to show you why it's powerful. And forget the thing I wanted to show you at the end. So you can remember the Summit application I have done at the beginning. I can run it without any difficulties with this. Uh, I only need to think about the name of the application. Maybe I can retrieve it in the Docker herb. So here, let me write my name, and this is Streamlit application. Okay, let me see here. What is the version of it? Okay, so here, if I write this, you will see at the end of the download the application of the beginning. It's not as quick as the first container, but you will see it's not really long, and very quickly I have the thing I want, and I can deploy um, every application I have. This is all the goal of this tool, I would say, about Docker. You can deploy very easily the thing you have. And here, for instance, this group of students, the application they made, instead of giving me all the files I need to run the application, they create, let's imagine they created container. It's not a container, a Docker image of the application. Only need to have Docker, and I can run the application. And here now, let me show you the application. I have some doubt about. I forgot my IP address. So let's come back at the beginning, and if I do this, you see now I have the application I showed you at the beginning, and I didn't need to create Python environment to download all the packages I wanted. I only need to run the Docker command line, and uh, it was easy. And I have the application at the end. So this is the advantages we have seen for Docker, but uh, like I said, Docker is really huge, and we only see some part of it. We'll show you some weakness, I will say, about Docker. Even if it's not really some weakness, I will explain later. But at first, your Docker containers are not persistent. What I mean by persistent is about here I need to have another console. For instance, let's imagine on my uh, just 1 minute, I need to have the IP address. There is no colon, so this is it. So we stop the streamlit. So here the stream doesn't work anymore uh, because I stopped the container. And the thing I wanted to show you is I still have the MongoDB instance, but if I remove this container, I won't retrieve this document. Or it's not really document. In fact, document is the word of in MongoDB uh, re- to call this kind of element. It, this is one document. This is another document, and on this document we have different keys. We have the ID key and the webinar one, and here we have the same one. So here I want to retrieve the same document if I remove this Docker container. So if I do this, Docker stop my Mongo, and I remove now instead of only stop my container. Here, if I do Docker PS, I don't have any Docker container, and if I do Docker start my Mongo, it won't work because it doesn't retrieve any container with this name. Maybe I can run again this container. So here I run another instance. You see, it's not the same that I have before. And if I look about it, Docker exec tier IT my Mongo. And if I do if I do this, uh, I don't have. See here, I press the tab key to retrieve the name. You have to write all the name, and it doesn't recognize any collection with the name sample. The reason is I delete my previous container and I don't have the data I have written before. So initially, you don't have any way to just save your data, but don't worry. In Docker, uh, you can save your data about the container with what we call the volume one. It's just another component you need to specify when you run a container, and it will create a connection but with your machine and the container. And for instance, if you save something on a specific folder of your Docker container, you will retrieve this file, the thing you want, on the different on the folder on your machine. You won't have the problem you have now. It will keep the data. The other one is about the interaction between the containers. In fact, an application is just a combination of different components, and one component can be a Docker container. For instance, you can have a container for the database, a container for the API side, what we call the back end, another one for the front end, and you can have many like these different containers, and you want to interact them each other. But initially, you cannot really do this kind of thing. They are alone, I would say, this Docker container. They don't share the same space, and you cannot really interact them. But you can make you can create what we call a network to communicate all these Docker containers. For instance, with my previous application, the Trimit application, if I write this and if I didn't specify this kind of things, uh, it won't really work on my computer. Usually, let's verify. You see, it's still not working, even if on my console it's written that I run the application, but I didn't specify the port. I would say I used the 8501, but I didn't make the connection with my machine. So as a consequence, I cannot really see the application. And but you can make them together with another things I didn't say today. But this is the thing you can see during our training or with the documentation. Is what we call the networks, or maybe on a second part of Docker. You can think about it. So the last slide is about the resources you can retrieve about Docker. Uh, the first thing that the first bullet point is about all the images you can retrieve on the hub, the official. It's not the all the market, I would say, about the different images of Docker, and you can you only need to search about the thing you want. There's only the open source one. For instance, Power BI, which is a BI tool of Microsoft. I can't really find the official version of it because it's not a free one. But you can find an open friendly things that look like Power BI. You need to only to search on it. And the most important part is about the installation of Docker. It's not really complicated. You can go on the official website and you have different tutorial to different operating system. And the easiest one is with Linux. You don't have any problem with it, but with the Windows or Mac, it's a little bit different. Um, you don't really use the command line. You use uh, nice software, I would say. I think it's called GitHub Desktop, and you will download the different container you need. And there are some command lines you need to download after the installation, because when you need to run a container, you need to write sudo initially. But if you write all this command line, you won't need to write sudo every time. I have finished my part. I hope with this you understand why we use Docker and why it's, it's it's not powerful, but I found this tool very amazing. And for me, this is the thing I'll say to every student I encounter. I have a before and after Docker. It changed my life. So that's why you need to check about this tool. I think it can be really nice to add this tool to your skills. So I will, like I said, I finished my presentation. I will see if you have some question on the chat. And I'm sorry for this output. I would say maybe I can stop the screen and I will see all your questions. Uh, for that. Sorry. So I can see now you didn't see my different command I used during the presentation, but it's not really big deal because I will share um the slides, and on the slides there are the command signs I used during the presentation. But there is a question of Momo, but I don't have the answer. For me, it's just a specific error you have on Docker Desktop, and I don't really use Docker Desktop at first, so I don't really know how to solve this error. But um, sorry, I don't really know, and I think I won't really help you if I only search now about what we can do with this kind of error. Um, but that's it. Sorry, Momo. Uh, do you have other question before I end this session? So seems like you don't have any question. But the best way to learn Docker is to practice it. And I don't like to say it like this, but join our training because in our training we use Docker and we learn how to use it. And you won't have any more mm, Docker won't have any secrets for you after the training. I would say. So I will end the session now, and I say to all of you, have a nice night. I would say, and see you soon. Bye.